The movie basically deals with the spontaneous life of Scott who likes to have lots of fun in his youth, along with his friends, but is a sore, predictable loser. Aside from the comedy and sex, it also shows the usage of substances like alcohol, cigarettes, marijuana or weed, and drugs. Scott and his friends always get drunk from alcohol. They get super drunk that it actually affects their decision making and memory. Basically, that's what makes the story of the movie move, because of them getting drunk and making decisions while under the influence of it. Being under the influence of alcohol severely or mildly has a huge impact on the person's brain and well being. People who are drunk tend to have no logical reasoning in decision making and have no conscious awareness. That's why a person who is drunk is reckless and chaotic, making it harder for the brain areas from functioning such as controlling balance, memory, speech, and judgment. Alcohol also disrupts the ability to form new long-term memories, and when under the influence of it, the person is half conscious or has no awareness at all that may lead to memory blackout.
American comedy Eurotrip was released in 2004 and was written by Jeff Schaffer, Alec Berg, and David Mandel. The story follows Scott Thomas, a recent high school graduate, as he and his closest friend Cooper travel to Europe in quest of Scott's German pen pal, Mikey. Relating the topic to the movie, characters in Eurotrip are seen drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, which can be a sign of behavioral alcoholism. Process addiction, often referred to as behavioral addiction, is a type of addiction in which a person becomes reliant on a specific behavior or activity rather than a substance. Alcohol addiction can cause someone to become dependent on alcohol consumption rather than the substance itself. Both the underlying psychological elements that may support the emergence of an addiction and the harmful effects of alcohol addiction are not specifically addressed in the film Eurotrip. Nonetheless, it does show characters acting recklessly and drinking huge amounts of alcohol, which can be interpreted as supporting the notion that such actions are acceptable or even desirable. It is vital to keep in mind that Eurotrip is a fictional work, and while it might shed some light on cultural views about alcohol consumption, the movie shows what might happen if a person becomes dependent on alcohol and shows the behavior of a person who's addicted to alcohol. We should make more research relating to addiction and how it affects a person's behavior, actions, and emotions to properly grasp what things we should do to prevent addiction to substance.
A movie follows a young man named Scott Thomas after being dumped by his girlfriend, decides to travel to Europe with his friends in search of adventure and romance. During their trip, they visit various European cities including London, Paris, Amsterdam, and Berlin, where they encounter a series of misadventures and culture differences. The film depicts alcohol and drugs as common elements of the European party scene, but also shows that they can have negative consequences. The characters' experiences with drugs and alcohol highlight the potential risks and dangers of substance abuse, including impaired judgment, dangerous behavior, and legal troubles. Alcohol acts as a depressant, slowing down the brain's activity and affecting areas of the brain involved in judgment, decision making, and self control. Alcohol can impair cognitive function, leading to impaired judgment, memory loss, and confusion. With continued heavy use, alcohol can lead to addiction and long term changes in the brain function. The pot brownies in the movie contain marijuana, it has a active ingredient, delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol or THC, interacts with cannabinoid receptors in the brain, leading to altered perception, mood, and cognitive function. Marijuana use can impair short-term memory and attention, alter sensory perception, and impair motor function. Long-term use can lead to changes in brain structure and function, particularly in the areas of the brain involved in memory, emotion, and motivation. They also drink a green alcohol, absinthe. It has a reputation for being a potential and hallucinogenic drink. Although these claims are largely exaggerated, however, absinthe does contain thujone, a chemical compound found in wormwood that have psychoactive effects when consumed in large quantities. Thujone is believed to be responsible for absinthe's reputation as a hallucinogenic drink.
To correlate the movie Eurotrip to the last discussion in sociological psychology, I will discuss the effects of alcohol use that is prominent in the movie. Alcohol has been used by humans way back to prehistory. At lower doses, alcohol can reduce anxiety, promotes assertiveness, and reduce behavioral inhibition. Meanwhile, at higher doses, the assertiveness will become aggression and disinhibition, which will lead to behavioral problems. These are portrayed in some particular scenes of the movie, like in the scene where a bunch of men are so intoxicated that they are ready to gang up on the guy just because of the football jersey that he is wearing. To understand more about the effect of alcohol on humans, I will discuss the many changes in the neuron because of alcohol. Drinking alcohol at lower or high doses affect the membranes, ion channels, and enzymes. Alcohol can affect the membranes because the ethanol in an alcohol can disrupt the physical structure of a membrane. Enzymes are affected by alcohol because of the chemical breakdown of it, which involves two enzymes, alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. Meanwhile, the effect of the alcohol to ion channel is the fact that ethanol can affect both receptor-activated ion channels and voltage-gated ion channels, which is why it was probably because of inhibition of subtype of NMDA glutamate receptor ion channels and potentiation of certain subtype of GABAA receptor ion channels that causes acute intoxication in coordination of the body.
Scott Thomas is dumped by his girlfriend Fiona immediately after his high school graduation at the beginning of the film. With his best friend Cooper Harris, Scotty attends a graduation party that evening, where the band performs a song detailing the affair Fiona was having with the band singer. Scotty returns home drunk and angry and reads an email from his Devon pen pal Mickey, who calls Mike, expressing sympathy for Scotty and suggesting they meet in person. Scotty's younger brother Bert informs him that Mickey is actually a common German female name. Drunk on obscene, Jenny and Jamie make out with each other, witnessed by Scotty and Cooper, and are horrified when they realize what they are doing. Short-term alcohol exposure tilts the balance toward inhibition by both enhancing the function of inhibitory neurotransmitters and neuromodulators and decreasing the function of excitatory neurotransmitters. When alcohol enters the bloodstream, it also affects the nervous system and brain cells, and causes brain function to produce more neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine. Alcohol makes it harder for the brain areas controlling balanced memory, speech, and judgment to do their jobs, resulting in a higher likelihood of injuries and other negative outcomes. Long-term heavy drinking causes alteration in the neurons, such as reduction in their size. Alcohol is believed to mimic GABA's effect in the brain, binding to GABA receptors and inhibiting neuronal signaling. GABA is the primary inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain and is associated with the seductive effects of alcohol.
The movie generally started with Scott's breaking up with Fiona, leading him to seek his chatmate named Mick, who he mistakenly judged her gender by her name. After Scott knows the truth, the story of their travels to Europe begins with his friend Cooper and the twins named Jamie and Jenny. So, how does this movie have a relevance to our previous lesson? During the first parts of the movie, Scott and his friend Cooper went to a graduation party. Teenagers within this party took alcoholic beverages and went disoriented and overly relaxed before and during the band start. The alcohol they've taken interferes with the brain's communication pathways and can affect the way the brain looks and works. These disruptions can change mood and behavior and make it harder to think clearly and move with coordination, where it can be shown on how disoriented they are during the party. The alcohol acts as an indirect agonist of gamma-aminobutyric acid or GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that blocks certain impulses fired within the nerve cells in the brain. It mimics the effects of GABA by binding to GABA receptors in the brain, causing the feelings of relaxation and sedation within the body. So, to clarify, agonist drug enhances the activity of neurochemical processes or signals in the brain, while the antagonist serves to reduce the activity of neurochemical processes. The same goes for when they arrived in the Europe and had an unprecedented meeting with the Manchester football fan team. Jokes aside from the movie, they both all had alcohol intoxication to the point of them experiencing relaxation and disorientation. The rewarding sensation of the alcoholic beverage they've had can also be explained by the alcohol inhibiting the release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens area of the brain, or also known as one of the reward centers of the brain. It is different when they've arrived in Amsterdam and decided to separate for a while. There's a part where they encounter a psychoactive drug, specifically the part when both Jenny and Scott go to a popular drug bakery in Amsterdam, where they ate drug brownies containing marijuana. The hallucination effect from the drug lasted for a period of time until the effect of the brownies faded. So, to clarify, marijuana is the dried flowers and leaves of the cannabis plant that can produce short-term problems with thinking, working memory, executive function, and psychomotor function. This is because the marijuana's main psychoactive chemical, THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, causes its effect by attaching to receptors in brain regions that are vital for memory formation, including the hippocampus, amygdala, and cerebral cortex, which explains the delusions of Scott when he ate the drug brownies. That is also a partially agonist. The scene also showed the drug tolerance of the characters, specifically the categorization of how women can easily be drugged or intoxicated by alcohol compared to men, shown when Jenny is easily influenced by the psychoactive drug marijuana on the brownies compared to Scott. There's also various scenes in the movie that feature different psychoactive drugs or substances that have been used by the characters in the movie. The effects of it are also shown, however, I leave the rest of these scenarios in my groupmates. The movie is really showed a unique epitome of teenage life and sexual urges, influenced by various psychoactive drugs.
Eurotrip is a ridiculous film about an American teenager named Scott who decided to travel across Europe to find his German pen pal, Mike, accompanied by his friend Cooper and twin siblings Jenny and Jamie. Scott and his friend's journey brings them through London, Paris, Amsterdam, Bratislava, Berlin, Germany, and Rome, Italy, where there encounters awkward, hilarious, and embarrassing circumstances. Everywhere they go, they will drink alcoholic beverages. I can relate the movie to our topic, which is all about alcohol. Alcohol is one of the earliest drugs used by humans. The group goes to a nightclub. Johnny and Jamie are drunk on absinthe when they make out with each other, which Scotty and Cooper see, and they are horrified when they understand what they are doing, because alcohol dilates blood vessels at low doses, causing a warm, flash sensation. It lessens anxiety, increases assertiveness, and decreases behavioral inhibitions, resulting in people's actions being silly or fun. Overall, the film that we watch is really relatable to our topic, which is the Euro trip and how they consume alcoholic beverages and cannot able to control them, just like what happens to the twin siblings.
The movie Your Trip is a ranch comedy that follows the misadventures of four high school graduates as they travel across Europe. Throughout the film, the characters frequently consume alcohol, experiment with various drugs. While this behavior is played for laughs, it is important to recognize the potential negative effects of drug and alcohol use. Alcohol consumption is a recurring theme throughout the movie from the opening scene, in which the main character, Scotty, gets drunk and embarrasses himself at his graduation party. In the various party scenes that take place throughout the film, alcohol is a constant presence. While it may be entertaining to watch the characters stumble around and make fools of themselves, it is important to remember that excessive alcohol consumption can have serious consequences. Alcohol can impair judgment, decrease inhibitions, and lead to the reckless behavior. In the context of the movie, this is the played for laughs, but in real life, the consequences of alcohol abuse can be much more serious. Another theme in the movie in drug use. While the characters do not engage in hardcore drug use, they do experiment with various substances, such as absinthe and marijuana. Again, while this behavior is portrayed as harmless fun, it is important to remember that drug use can have serious negative consequences. Drug abuse can lead to addiction, physical and mental health problems, and even death. It is important to educate young people about the potential risks of drug use and to encourage them to make responsible choices. In addition to the potential physical and mental health consequences of drug and alcohol use, there are also legal consequences to consider into the movie. The characters frequently engage in behavior that is illegal in many countries, such as underage drinking and drug use. While these activities may be played for laughs on the big screen, in real life they can lead to fines, arrests, and even imprisonment. Overall, while the movie Your Trip may be a fun and entertaining comedy, it is important to remember the potential negative consequences of drug and alcohol use. While the characters in the movie may be able to laugh off, then drunken and drug addicts in real life, these actions can have serious consequences. It is also important to educate young people about the potential risks of drug and alcohol use and encourage them to make responsible choices.
After a brutal breakup at a high school graduation party, lovelorn Ohio teen Scott Thomas goes on a quest across Europe to find his sexy German pen pal, Mickey. Joining him are his brainless buddy, Cooper, and a pair of twins, which is Jenny and Jamie, and they experience a lot of things during their adventure going to Europe. We can relate our topic to the movie which is about drug use. The characters did not engage in any serious drug use. They tried to experience different drugs which are alcohol, absinthe, and marijuana. The behavior they show in the movie was harmless and enjoyable. By using this kind of drug can also have a serious negative outcome to a person. Drug abuse can lead to addiction, which can lead to physical and mental health problems and can also lead to accidents and death. Overall, of the movie Euro Trip shows how teenagers use drugs, which are alcohol, absinthe, and marijuana. We should know the negative outcome or consequence when we use this kind of drug and alcohol use. It is important to have knowledge in this kind of things because it helps us to be responsible when we use this kind of drug and alcohol.